Welcome back to the Dad Chronicle. I'm your host, Alex Albisu. This is episode 149. As Deanna and I mentioned in a previous episode, Jake recently started T-ball. And in this last season that just wrapped up, this was his second season, I found myself very impressed by his coach, Coach Joe Karlson, and his approach to parenting and how he was coaching these kids that I said, I gotta have this guy on the show. So that's who I invited today. It's Coach Joe Karlson. This guy had such a great presence with the kids, and it was very clear that he kind of knew what he was doing when it came to not only coaching the kids, but also managing parent expectations and bringing a lot of really good ideas that I think would be valuable for this audience as you guys may be thinking similar to what Deanna and I have been thinking as far as signing your kid up for a sport, also how to be a responsible parent. We cover all of these things in this episode, so stick around. This is a really good conversation. First, we talk about how he got into coaching Little League for his sons.
I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to let the other coach. I'm just going to watch. I'm not going to get involved. And in the middle of the first practice, I turn to my wife. I go, I made a huge mistake.
Joe shares some of the lessons that he's learned from coaching Little League.
You got to split them up into groups and get them, always moving. It can't be more than 5 minutes without them doing something else. So it's just constant rotation and changing things up.
We talk about the importance of having fun in these early years when the kids are learning a new sport.
I never once mentioned the score of the game to the kids. They would bring it up and be like, who won, who lost? I said, did you have fun today? That's all that I care about right now.
And finally, we talk about how to show up as a present and reasonable parent in kids' sports activities.
The bad behavior from parents is reflected on their kids, and I've never had a kid that shows up and is perfect every single time and turn around, look at their parents, and they're a mess.
Here's my conversation with Coach Joe Karlson. Joe Karlson, welcome to the Dad Chronicle. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, this is great. I'm happy to see you. We usually see you every weekend, as we're going to talk about here. You've coached Jake's T-ball team, and we're really excited to talk about that. But I think it was a little culture shock for Jake when he saw you outside the context of the baseball field. I thought that was very cute.
It's not the first time that has happened. Anytime I go to a school or I see one of the kids, they look at me like, what is he doing here?
You mean he doesn't live at the baseball field? What is going on?
Well, of course, my T-ball coach, when I was a kid, he had to live at the field. I mean, that's it.
Teachers live in the closet in their classrooms.
Of course.
Of course they do. Well, Joe, thank you again for being here. We're going to talk about all those things. But before we do, why don't we take a little moment and just introduce you to the world out there?
Sure. I since the fatherhood is the topic here, I am a dad of 3 boys. Mm-hmm. We've got we knocked them out in rapid succession. They're 8, 5, and 3.
Yeah. Like that was
2.5 years between the first 2, and then 2.25 years between the second and third. And I believe that will be it. We are going to stop with 3. We've got the rooms in the house for 3. The minivan is good for 3, and we can have some friends in there with them. I don't want to have to get into a like Ryan Fitzpatrick of having to buy a 14-passenger van to go around.
Could you imagine? Oh my god.
No, that'd be a nightmare. So I am I always say that I kind of came to fatherhood later in life. I was a lone wolf out there. I was single and alone, living in my house, and finally I was like, it's time to grow up, and I kind of wanted the fatherhood thing, so dove right in, and met my wife, and within 2 years we were married with a kid.
Oh, awesome! How did you and Aaron meet?
We met on an app.
Oh, so one of those, and it worked.
Which is funny because one of our first conversations was like, "Hey, so where'd you go to high school?" And it's like, "Oh, I went to that high school too." When did you graduate? Oh, I graduated that year too.
No way.
We're like, oh, well, we both were in the same graduating class, and she said that she knew of me, and I was in my own world then. I did not know her.
Listen, Joe, you were Mr. Cool, all right?
Yes,
Joe
please.
Cool. Yeah.
So, we met on an app, and we were both in the same place of like, our focus was going to be on kids. So, it was going to be kids were going to come, and if marriage happened later on, sure, why not? So we consciously, went down that path, and then She was 8 months pregnant, and I was like, I guess I should propose to her, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so proposed to her, and then we're like, well, should we just get married before the baby comes? And so
Oh,
within
yeah.
3 weeks, we were, proposed, married, and then 2 weeks after that, first kid came.
That's amazing. And I have to tell, like, the audience, like, I love watching you and Aaron parent. It's so great. You guys are two peas in a pod. Those boys are great. Watching you two work your magic on the t-ball field, keeping all of the kids on the team in check, and then working with your boys on the side and everything else. I love watching you parent, and I mentioned this in my notes to you, but it was such a privilege to watch another dad do their thing, and just it was very well done. Well done, Dad.
I could not do it without her.
Yeah.
She runs the bench while I'm out there focusing on the kid up to bat,
Yeah.
and it'd just be impossible to do it on both sides. And knowing that she's there and we're on the same page,
Yeah.
we have to deal with other parents and other people out there that are trying to help out, and having that part not be a area of issue is a very good thing that I don't have to think about it at all.
And it's yes, and we are absolutely going to talk about that, because that's one thing that, patting myself on the shoulder here a little bit in the after season party that we had for Jake's Little League team. Thank you again for hosting at your house.
No problem.
Joe mentioned that we were a great group of parents to work with, which I'm very excited about, because that's always one of the things that's top of my mind. Like, I don't want to be that dad that's just a pain in the butt, like screaming at Coach, what are you doing? X, Y, and Z, expletives.
I believe I did say you were the best group of parents I've had to deal with. That does not mean that everyone else was good.
Okay. Yeah, it's it really is a tricky thing, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the, let's say, etiquette, but also some of the things that people should prepare for. As we do that, like, can you give us a little rundown of, like, your experience coaching? With your boys, did you do any coaching beyond that, or?
No, not really. So I did Little League as a kid. I played it from T-ball all the way up through 6th grade, and I played baseball because that's what my brother did, and I played every season because I played T-ball last season. I played baseball the season before, and it came time where, like, okay, we have the eldest, and we're getting towards the back end of the pandemic. We're like, okay, let's get him into a sport, and we decided on hey, let's have him try out baseball, and he went to the first practice, and I was like, look, I haven't done anything organized sports in 30 whatever years at that point. And I was like, I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to let the other coach. I'm just going to watch. I'm going to, I'm not going to get involved. And in the middle of the first practice, I turned to my wife. I go, I made a huge mistake. This is going to be very hard for me to not get involved in this. And he already had assistant coaches, because we showed up we signed up late. So we showed up like the second or third practice that they already had. And it's just like, okay, I need to figure this out, because if he's going to play baseball in the future, I'm going to want to coach in the future. So let's turn this into a exercise of let's see what everyone else does, and let's see what we can steal from them to make our experience better. And look, there's nothing wrong with that coach. He did a great job, and there's things that I would have done a little bit differently, but that doesn't mean he was doing it wrong.
Right.
But it was when it came time to sign up for that second season, it's like, yes, I will be your coach. I will figure this out. And that he moved from T-ball up to coach pitch, which is the next level.
Yeah.
And I showed up to the first practice for that, and I didn't even know who my assistant coach was. I had a name.
Oh, really?
But it was just like, your brain is just like, the reality set in of like, oh my God, I'm responsible for, I think it was 11 or 12 kids running around like crazy. What are we doing here? Yeah. And at the end of the first practice, when I saw the guy that was helping me clean up, and I go, that must be my assistant coach.
Oh, gosh, by the end of the practice.
Yeah. It's just like,
wow.
Your brain, like, I have no idea what's going on. So in terms of coaching, that was my first time doing any sort of organized coaching. Obviously, work wise, and do manager type stuff of trying to help people out.
Sure.
I find opportunities there. I do have a very hard time sitting on the side and not expressing my perspective and my point of view of things, and I guess that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
in terms of being a coach, is that I want to be involved. I'm not one to just sit on the side and just watch other people do stuff.
That's true. What do you feel like were a couple of like the things that you picked up from watching some of the other coaches do their things that kind of prepared you for maybe success in those subsequent years?
Yeah. So we would watch some of the teams and it would be chaos when they got over to the benches. And those transition periods were a big part of keeping the game going and keeping the kids focused. So we would watch the kids come over, like the team that Miles was on. Miles is my eldest.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So the team that he was on, there was no organization on the bench side. They would come over, they would put their glove down wherever they sat down. Where's my water? Where's my stuff? And there was a minute or two of that, just trying to figure out where everything was and then trying to get them up to bat. So we played against one of the teams and they had baskets out. Like dollar store baskets, and we're like, I turned to the wife. I'm like, we are stealing that.
It was a great idea. I was surprised when I saw that in like, I think it was practice number 2 or something. I was like, this is brilliant. One of the things for people listening at home to realize about T-ball, and this may or may not be evident, but you're dealing with like a bunch of 4 or 5-year-olds in some cases, 6-year-old depending, but like it's pretty chaotic, as Joe's saying, and any semblance, this is what I really remarked at, like when I first saw that come up, I was like, any semblance of a little bit of organization that is very simple to approach, like just that landed so well with the kids.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing would be the walk-up songs, where we do the walk-up songs for all the kids. And yes, look, it's fun. The parents love it. The kids love it. But also, we play their song and they are instantly focused on like, my song is playing, it is time to walk up to the tee and hit the ball, and by the end of the season, it's like clockwork.
It is, yeah.
I was talking with one of the assistant coaches that we could probably take ourselves out of the game, like the coaches, and just play the song, and the kids would just automatically get off the bench and walk up to the bat and go.
You could. It's like that trick with the dog where you like ring the bell and you give them a treat every time that they ring the bell, so that's how they know to come in. Like you ring the bell.
Pavlov's dog, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I have to say, like, to this day, when I hear Golden, which I hear a lot in this house, I immediately think of Lucy going up for her song and going to do that. And it's just training the parents too, for what it's worth. So, that's another brilliant idea.
Yeah, so those were the things that we kind of took. I mean, just on the other end, at the end of this season, normally the last practice, we do a parents versus kids game, and it was like, we did that on that first team, and we're like, this is great. The parents are out there loving it. It's fun, and sometimes it's a bit of a chore to get some of the parents involved. But once everything kind of clicks in place, normally around that first inning, like, oh yeah, we're out here just having fun and let's make a moment of this.
Yeah.
It's a good memory to have. So it's something that we always enjoy doing.
Honestly, that was very special. So I appreciate you doing that. Yeah. That was really cool because it was just wiffle ball. That's all it was. And the parents went up to hit off the tee. I'd say 90% of parents hit it on the first try.
Yeah.
You watch some of them and you're like, oh, so it's not just the 4-year-olds that can't hit it. And
look, in my defense, that tee's at like my knee height. I'm trying to hit it.
Yeah, it's gosh, that was so much fun. I also forgot, just a very quick tangent, like wiffle balls are actually really hard to throw. Right? Like,
yeah.
Like they got holes in them. They're not exactly aerodynamic. So like I remember I threw it to first base and went like it just landed on the ground. I was like, that's embarrassing.
Yep. It's a curveball, and it'll go wherever it wants to.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Gosh, but that was fun. That was special. What else? Anything else kind of come to mind that was a special thing that you brought into the way that you coach?
Yeah. So having more help out there.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I've realized early on is, so I the first time I coached the eldest in the coach pitch league, and I had one assistant coach, and we got through fine.
Yeah.
And then the following season, I was like, well, I guess at that point, my middle child, he wanted to play t-ball. It's like, well, I'm going to coach that, and I'm not going to give up on my eldest, so I'm going to coach that as well. And I started coaching 2 teams, and I thought I was prepared for t-ball. And at the end of the first practice, I realized I was not. That was a completely 1 year difference, and the age of these kids made a huge difference in their attention span and their skill level. I mean, I wasn't even thinking that a lot of these kids are coming in for the first time. The first practice, okay, let's work on throwing the ball. And I realized right then, oh no, I need to teach them how to hold a ball. And it was just a completely different experience. But then also so how this works is you sign up, you're going to coach and be when you sign up in the league website, okay, here's my kid's information, here's my information. And then you click, you want to volunteer as the manager. And they're happy with that because they need more managers. But manager is the head coach in baseball. And then other parents will sign up as a general volunteer, so it's going out and helping out whenever needed, or as an assistant coach. And the assistant coach that I had assigned to me for that team, he is what I call a shadow, and which is he goes out there and he stands next to his kid, and that is it.
Yeah.
And I've had a few of these. Sometimes parents will come out, they're just the shadows next to their kid, and other times they're assistant coaches, just right next to their kid.
Yeah.
And look, sometimes, their kid may need more attention, and that's why they're out there. They're more sensitive to it. I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm not responsible for just one kid. I'm responsible for 10 kids out there.
Yeah.
And I need your help. And once I realized that he was going to be a shadow, I ended the second practice with all the parents. I go, I need somebody else to step up and be an assistant coach. I need somebody else. And I was like, who can do it? And one woman looked at me and I go, you are now my assistant coach. Thank you. And she came on and she's like, okay, I've never done this, but let's go. And it's like, thank you. Yeah. So realizing I needed more help. That was a huge lesson. So the second time I did coach, I did t-ball, I had 3 assistant coaches because we had, I think it was the last season, we had 11 or 12 kids on that, and you need one coach for every 3 kids
at least.
It's you got to split them up into groups and get them always moving. It can't be more than 5 minutes without them doing something else.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, so it's just constant rotation and changing things up. As they get a little bit older, you can kind of stretch that out a little bit more, but it's not much. Kids start to devolve very fast, and once they start, they're done. It takes so much longer to get them back again focused. So with t-ball, it's very much about, okay, if I got 3 coaches, let's set up 3 different stations. Let's get you guys split out. Let's rotate you around all the time, rotations within rotations, so that it's a 3-ring circus out there.
Yeah, and the what you were talking about before with parents maybe volunteering to help, thinking oh, I'm just going to be out there with my kid. That's a really important thing to consider, for parents out there listening to this. It's if you're going to sign up to be helping, take into consideration the help that your kid needs, but also the help that the other kids need and the coach, what they need for you. Especially I think about for you having 2 of your boys now doing this and coaching them. What is your tendency to focus on them versus the other kids? Did that take a little bit of adapting, or did you just jump right in with the ability to kind of look at the whole team?
I mean, I kind of just I didn't want to seem like I was focusing only on my kid.
Right.
I'm very conscious about that.
Yeah.
So I early on it was I'm not gonna pay attention to you.
Yeah.
Or I will always send you off with the other coach when we split up first. So that's not like, well, I'm going to take my kid. We're going to go do this first.
Right.
So I always think about that. One of the things that we do is we do this thing called Dirty Shirt, which is an award at the end of practice of giving them a baseball card as a recognition for effort. It's all about, like who tried the hardest, that practice. And look, I try not to give my kid a dirty shirt early on, even though, look, my eldest on his team, he does typically put in a great effort every time.
Yeah.
But I don't want all the other parents sitting around being like, of course he gave his kid the award first.
Right.
And early on, I would always try to to make it so it happened later and later into the season. And I care less about that now because I'm more confident in myself as a coach, and I don't care as much of what other parents think about me because I'm not sitting there. I think I have a proven record of, at least for myself, self-consciously, that I'm not just putting my kid ahead of everyone else.
Oh yeah, I noticed that of you, particularly where you were really good about letting Dylan just go like do something with Coach Paul or like something else, and you didn't favor giving him the card or anything. Like I noticed that, and that's really great, and that's something that I think is really important for people to think about, like with these young kids and stuff. One of the things that Aaron was talking about was like everybody's going to end up getting the card, and which is good. So there's a pretty good chance that it's not just Coach Joe here who does that. Keep in mind, like, everybody's going to get a little bit of love.
Yeah.
So.
I keep a list on my phone, and I have it's in my notes app, and I have a checkbox next to each kid, and it's the dirty shirt and game ball, and I make sure every kid gets one.
Yep.
And nobody gets a second one until every kid has gotten one, unless for some reason a kid is out, and when I've ran out of kids to give it to. But that included where on Coach Pitch team a few seasons ago, I'd already given like our best player. I could give him a game ball every single game.
Oh yeah.
And I gave it to him like midway through the season, and like 2 games later, he makes a double play. And it's just like, are you kidding me? And I couldn't give him a second game ball, so I gave him a dirty shirt at the end of the game.
Yeah,
it's like you just get extra recognition for that.
Yeah.
But it's like I got to make sure that everyone gets it, because I remember being a kid and I don't remember getting a game ball. I played baseball all those times. I think maybe one time I got a game ball or whatever recognition at the end of the game.
Yeah,
and it stuck with me. It's like, well, that wasn't right. Come on,
especially at this age where one of the things that I really liked that you said at the very beginning of the season was like, we're here to have fun. Like these are a bunch of 5-year-olds that are learning the concept of the game, learning what it means to be on a team, the very foundational things that it means to play with others in a lot of ways, socialize with others. So that setting that as just a baseline of this is how we're going to approach this, and setting that expectation very early, I'm a big fan of. I actually, thinking back to the comments you were making about your boys playing, and your own experience playing baseball growing up, what is it like to be kind of on the other side of this now, coaching your boys? Is it something that feels like especially special for you, or is it just coming with the territory of dad and fatherhood? Like, tell me your perspective on that.
It is special. I like being out there. Not just specific to my kids. I love going to their schools or going out and walking through and being like, hello, kids. Remember me? I coached you 2 seasons ago. They're like, yes, of course.
Yeah.
That's great. Or yesterday was Halloween, going to the Halloween parade at the preschool, and there's 3 of the kids from the team all lined up in a row. Be like, hi, everyone. And, they all give you that look of like, hi, we remember you. So that's special. That's great. And having those memories with the kids of, the good and the bad, like when they make big plays, it's awesome. Or when they get out and they're, in tears and being like, okay, hey,
Yeah.
let's work our way through this. And it's not just my kid, as you said, I just want it to be fun out there.
Hmm.
So that's why I always try to do it. If somebody's having a bad day, then I'll try to adjust around them. If they're, if something happens where, like a T-ball, I mean, even the older kids, every game almost somebody's going to break down in tears over something. And it's like, okay,
Yes.
this is our chance to talk through this. And if I'm going to take the first stab at it, let's try to get you back out there. And if that doesn't work, then I'm going to call over the parent. But our main goal is to get you back out there on the field and forgetting about this. And I think, I don't know if you noticed in the last game, one of the assistant coach's kids was having a very hard day.
Yeah.
And we tried at first, and that wasn't working. And so I went over to him, even though he's an assistant coach and the players out on the field, I'm like, you got to go be a dad. Go.
Yeah.
And I pulled
Yes.
him off. I'm like, there's other people out here. We got this. Go be a dad. Go get your kid back out here. And he ended up going back up to bat and running the bases with his parents, which
Yeah.
I don't care about.
That's
Let
great.
them have fun.
Yes. That is like the quintessential thing about this age, and like it's teaching kids a lot of just just this coordination, the teamwork, there's so many different lessons that you can get at this age. And part of it is just tenacity. Like, how do you just do the thing that's scary? Or feel that intimidation and persevere. Like there's I think that's such an important lesson to learn. Like as you think about those lessons, like what are some of the other lessons that you want to impart on the kids at that meta level when you think about young kids playing sports?
Yeah, I mean, look, T-ball is fun. We're not keeping score. We're not doing outs. As you go up, we haven't quite gotten to keeping score exactly, but I do know my eldest is doing the rookies level now, and you do have runs, and after 4 runs are scored, the inning's over. There's out, so if you get out, it actually affects the team now. It's not, T-ball, everybody bats every inning.
Right.
The outs don't matter, runs don't matter. It's just get out there, hit the ball, run around, have fun. But now with the rookies level, outs matter. These things happen, and it's trying to teach them that, look, I don't care what the score is. I never once mentioned the score of the game to the kids. Mm-hmm. They would bring it up and be like, who won, who lost? I said, did you have fun today?
Yeah.
That's all that I care about right now.
Yeah.
Because look, we got shellacked every single game, mm-hmm. because the team that I was coaching was a bunch of players the first year at that level.
Yeah.
And all the other teams had 3/4 of the team returning and being the exact same team they can build upon.
Yep.
And I knew this. I didn't care. No. It's just, are we getting better? Are you hitting better? Are you able to, sit there and have a ball hit at you and not flinch? No? Well, guess what? We're going to keep working on that.
Yeah.
We're going to figure out different ways to work on that. So, those are the things that I'm more focused on. It's just trying to figure out how I can make them immediately better and not looking at it from a perspective of wins and losses. That is not who I am. I do not care about that stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I will, as we keep getting, moving on, and once we're at a level where, okay, well, the top 4 teams are going to go into a playoff system. It's like,
competitive
okay, well,
situation, sure.
Yeah, we're going to start worrying about that stuff now. Are you at the right place? No? Okay, well then, you may not be playing that position again next time.
Yes.
But no, right now it's all about just discovery, making sure that the kids are developing their skills, and that hopefully either with me or another coach down the road, they're gonna be able to have fun and be great at this.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's such an important part of this, and think about those expectations that we were talking about earlier, in parents, and that. Some people might want their 5-year-old kid to be the freaking all-star that is, and be upset if they don't engage with the game properly, or when you're thinking about the behavior of the parents that you engage with, and you think about this audience listening, and what are some of the, let's say, words of wisdom that you might give to parents who are out there watching their kid play, may get frustrated, or this sense of being reasonable and respectful in these kids sports where we see some of these like really bad negative situations pop up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would say for the most part, I have not had to deal with that because I try to set expectations at the very beginning of the season.
Yeah.
At the end of the first practice, I call the parents over and I give them my speech now, and it's in my notes app. I just keep adding more and more notes to it. It gets longer every season, where I probably have to cut it back now. But it's things from seasons past where a situation will happen, and I'll be like, that is going into my speech for next season because I'm going to address this right off the bat. We are not going to deal with this again. Yeah. It's look the bad behavior from parents is reflected on their kids, and I've never had a kid that shows up and is perfect every single time and turn around, look at their parents, and they're a mess. It's the kids that I need to have more focus on. Well, those are the kids of the parents I need to have more focus on. Yeah. And unfortunately, that just seems to be a trend that I have realized. Yeah. Had a kid one season where, look, you don't have any say over who gets on your team. You don't know what situation you're going to go into, and there are kids that you look at and be like, okay, well, obviously this kid is going to need a little bit more help. There's something else going on there. Yeah, which does not matter. I'm going to teach you how to play, the baseball, whatever we're trying to learn that week. I'm going to work with you to do it. But this one kid, he would always show up late, and we would always try to work him into the lineup as soon as possible so he could go out there and hit. And one day he showed up late and then had a meltdown behind home plate, behind the backstop. And we are sitting there waiting for him to come up to bat. He was supposed to be up in the middle of the inning, but we can put him up at the end of the inning because every kid in that league batted every single time. Yep. And when I turned around, I'm like, hey, we need you up right now. And he lost it even more to his mom. I turn around and go, end of inning. We're done. Yeah. Because I'm not going to leave the other, the other team out there just waiting for him to finish his meltdown. And we moved on with the game. Again, there's 9 other kids that are trying to play. There's 10 other kids on their team. One kid can't hold up 19.
You're exactly right.
So, it's a good lesson for the mom to sit there and be like, hey, you had a chance to play. Your behavior just caused you not to. Well, nope. She decided to come over, take my coach's bag, throw it onto the field, throwing all the helmets out there, and then lose it on me.
And that is just absolutely wild.
Yep. And so I told her, we will deal with this at the end of the game. Yeah. And I got through everything else of, all the rest of the innings, giving out the game ball. And then I walked over. I said, come with me. And I was like, tell me what you want to tell me. And I let her spew all of her thoughts at me quite loudly. And I go, okay, your kid was late. We were not holding up everyone else. The conversation's done. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I let her have her say, and then I just moved on. Yeah. So, those things are going to happen. And now I tell people, I just level set at the very beginning. If your kid is there, we'll try to work them in. Yeah. But I'm not holding up the game for them.
Exactly. And as a parent, it's like, use those situations like what you were talking about. That's a great catalyst for a lesson learned, man. Like, that's a great opportunity to be like, look, like, I don't know, like I would have reacted like, sorry, Jake, you had your chance. Like, you can't go now. Now you have to wait for the next time. And that's an important, instead the kid looks at, how do you deal with that situation? You go hog wild on, and you throw a temper tantrum even more than I'm already throwing. Yeah. And it sucks.
And I will always try to progress and not just go straight to, look, in T-ball, we got a lot of kids beginning of the season that don't want to come up to bat by themselves.
Very shy and yes.
Yeah, that. So first time up to bat, your parent, come on out with them, stand next to them, help them swing the bat, run with them, run with them all around the bases. Second time up to bat, okay, maybe run with them the first and then see if one of the coaches can take over directing them around the rest of the bases. Yeah. Third time up, maybe I can go over then at that point and bring them up to bat, and maybe you can stand by first base and they can run towards you. Yes. So we'll try to find ways to progress to eventually get it so that your song plays, you walk up to bat, you hit the ball, you go.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the accessibility piece of it, like making it as comfortable as possible so that they take those little steps to be a little bit more brave each time, I think is really important. And it really starts with, I think, parental support. So, like people out there listening, it's like when you're sitting on those sidelines, words of encouragement, don't try to coach. I liked what you said about like, don't coach your kid from the sidelines, because let the coaches coach the kids. That's really important. Something that Deanna and I looked at. We were like, yeah, we got to remember that, because that's so important, because Arya's doing softball now. And we were like, yeah, that she's got the support that she needs. We don't need to be sitting there saying, oh, hit it this way or anything like that. She's hearing it from two other people too. So, let the coaches do their thing, trust the coaches, and, look for those little mini opportunities to let your kid learn. It's really good.
I had to talk with one of the dads on our team to back off coaching up his kid in the middle of practices and games, that the coaches are out here. And, I say it nicely. I don't quite say, if you wanted to coach, you should have volunteered to coach.
Right.
But at the same time, like, I'd be like, hey, we are trying to talk to them, and you are talking louder than us.
Yeah, and they're going to listen to dad a whole lot louder than coach, which is kind of defeating the point. Yeah.
But I mean, I think there's also a part to just, getting involved when you can. I mean, don't be the person that just sits on the side and does nothing. I'll try to give a careful example from the rookies team of, look, there is a kid that was out there struggling a lot, and his dad would, mom or dad, I start off every practice by having the parents go out there, throw with your kid for a few minutes, normally like 10 minutes. And, he would show up, and the dad would go out there and throw the ball at this kid 5 times and then go over and sit down. And that's it. And which was like, okay, that's your choice. But this kid always struggled out there with emotions and everything else during games. And there was one game where it was coach pitch, and I hit him with the ball. And I feel horrible every single time I hit a kid with the ball. It never gets easy. Mm-hmm. But he wanted to quit right there. And I am trying to be like, hey, come on, get back up there. Look, I'll try to throw it softer. I'll try to throw right down. Yeah. I'm going to do whatever I can to make it, to try to get you back up there. If you strike out, just get back up to the plate. And he kept shaking no. And these parents, they did not sit on the benches that were like off to the side for parents to sit on. They brought their own chairs, and they sat 25 feet behind the dugout facing another field pretty much.
What?
Talking to themselves. Yes.
Oh, God.
I cannot believe... Every time I looked over, I'm like, I cannot believe that is where you choose to sit and face. Like, not even facing the field. I'm not joking.
Oh, God, that's a shame.
So, that kid, he refused to go up to bat, and in that level, there are outs. So, I had to turn around, and I go, he's out.
Yeah.
That's 2 outs now. So it's like, you just cost your team an out. You didn't even, So again, you can point back to the parents of, who's out there, who's trying, and you see it reflected in the kid. So keep that in mind, parents.
Yeah, golly, that is so important. And thinking about you, with your own experience, you're killing it at this dad thing. In my limited observations of, at practice and hanging at your house and everything and seeing all that. But like, what are some of the important tenets that you feel like with your boys, as you think about raising them, some of the principles and maybe things that you carry through from your experiences with your parents that you might bring into your house as you think about raising your boys?
Very much being present and being there for them. Letting them express themselves, but just really being there. So my mom owned her own business around here. It was regular for her to work until 8, 9 o'clock at night. My dad was Secret Service. He would be on the road 6 months out of the year. Yeah. We had a live-in nanny. Wow, that would like get us up and get us going to school, do a lot of stuff like that. We had that for a while, but like when I played Little League, my dad was the ump for most of the time. And that sucked. I cannot tell you how many times we get into the car and I'd be like, "You called strike on that? Like that ball was up here." And he'd be like, "No, Joe, it was down here. It was over the plate."
Yeah.
And it's like, I know you're right, but no.
Yeah, but it sucks that it's you saying that.
Yes. And now I view it as not that my dad would call strikes on me. I view it as my dad was there.
Yeah.
So it's like, he I would walk up to bat and there's my dad right there
Yep.
a lot of the time. And I view it that way a lot more. So even though, he would be on the road a lot, it's like, okay, when he was there, he was there. He wasn't off on, off on the side or, I understand a lot as you get older into the Little League that, you have 2-3 practices a week and a lot of the time the parents just drop off their kids and they leave and they come back.
Blows my mind.
And it's like, okay, I get it. Look, if there's I'm going to be shuffling 3 kids around sports. There's only 2 parents.
Yeah, you guys are outnumbered.
Yeah. If there's 3 practices a week and they're 2 hours each and they're, I get it. I may not be able to be there for every single practice. I've already started getting the kids warned that my youngest is going to be able to start playing sports next fall.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing 3 teams. Look, I don't even know if I'm going to do 2 teams again. I have done it twice now. And it was 4 days a week this fall of just having to figure out baseball and 20 kids and parents and, the schedules. And it's a lot.
It's starting to become a full-time job at that point. Even at just 2 kids, but 3 kids, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I have a full-time job.
Yes, exactly.
So, it's very much about time management there. But I guess back to it, the things I try to impart on the kids is that I want to see improvement. It doesn't mean I want them to be great. I just want to see them trying out there, which that is what I will get upset at is if I am sitting here taking my time to teach them and everyone else how to do something.
Yeah.
I need them to pay attention. And I had to have a talk with my eldest. He was goofing around in a bunch of practices. And I'm like, you do realize you are the coach's son. And if you mess around at practice, that gives everyone else the idea that they can mess around too.
Yep.
And so it's like, I need you to focus and do this. And I have to do that reminder a few times because look, I'm not expecting perfection right off the bat.
No.
But it is a matter of I need your help to make this a success. So it's just continuous improvement, and I always circle back to it. Are they enjoying it? I mean, I don't want them to do something that they don't enjoy.
True.
So. I mentioned that I did baseball as a kid only because my brother did it and because I did the season before.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying I didn't enjoy doing it, but I only played baseball as a kid. So last fall, the wife and I, we made the decision that the kids were not allowed to play baseball. They could do whatever they wanted, but it could not be baseball.
Yeah.
So one of them chose to do basketball, do like a basketball camp.
Okay.
And another one decided to do dance, like pop music dance.
Cool.
So I don't think I don't think the middle child enjoyed pop music dance as much as he thought when he originally signed up for it.
Yeah. But he tried it.
You don't have a choice. You're doing this.
Yeah.
You're stuck with this for the next 8 weeks.
You made a choice. Yes.
And we will listen to that Dua Lipa song as much as we have to in order to get through it. But it was good because it allowed them. And my middle, he went right back to t-ball. He's like, nope, I want to go back to t-ball. I want to play baseball again. Okay,
cool.
And my eldest last spring was like, no, I don't want to go back to baseball. And it's like, okay, are you sure? We kept being like, are you sure you don't want to go back? Nope, I don't want to do anything. Okay. And then the middle of the first practice for his brother, I made a mistake.
Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
There
and it's
is.
like, sorry, you said nope.
Yeah.
You're not playing.
that realization hits, with our kids. Arya was doing gymnastics for a while, and she was every class I'd ask her, "You still enjoying it?" "Yeah, it's good." Not like ecstatic about it. I was just waiting for that moment of just like, And it took her about a year and a half, I think, maybe. I don't know. Deanna's going to listen to this and be like, "No, it was 2 years, three." Anyway, but it was one night in the car. She was like, "Yeah, I think I'm done." Like, and I said, "Okay, so the way it works is that we do this on a month by month basis. So you understand that you're going to have to finish up this month." "Yes, no problem." Like, it was very much understood. Like, "Yep, okay, I got a commitment." I said, "What do you want to do?" And she was trying to figure it out. She wanted to learn an instrument. And obviously, we're a very musical household with our kids. And with Arya, she wanted to learn the piano. And lately, she had this moment, and where she goes, where she told my wife, like, "I don't want to do piano anymore," but it was because it got hard. The natural pieces of it didn't quite it wasn't taking her. She's very like naturally gifted with music, and she loves to sing and stuff, but it like didn't quite, it got a little too hard. And that's where it struck me, like what you were talking about it, because we were like, "No, you have to keep going," because her goal was to eventually play violin and guitar and other things. The piano is a very good kind of like baseline foundational instrument when you think about music. And I think that having your kid stick with the thing, even though it's hard, when you know what their end goal is to do whatever it is that they want to do, is really, really hard in the moment. But man, that just, it helps them build character in a way that is like, because I will never make her do a thing that she doesn't want to do. Like gymnastics made total sense. It's not like she was just kind of like "Bleh" about it, but she, like, this kid like idolizes Taylor Swift and wants to play all the same instruments as her and loves like music and everything. And she's told me, she's like, "Daddy, I wanna do like the violin and all this other stuff." Taking the time with your kid to just help them lean into, even though it's uncomfortable for them, to lean into the thing that is hard, and help them see that commitment, I think is a good life lesson.
Yeah, and just I can only imagine going through her head of like trying to figure out like when am I going to bring this up that I want to stop? And like even though they told me, they give me so many opportunities to say I want to quit.
Exactly.
Actually, getting the guts up to say that is it's a big thing at that age, because
it is.
It's a new feeling they're not used to.
Exactly. Yeah. And Arya did have a similar experience with like Miles, where she watched Jake do his first season of T-ball back in the spring. And at the end of that, she was like, "I want to do softball." And so like we signed her up for softball. She loves it. And, we kind of asked her early on in that season, like, "What is it that you want to do?" Started talking about other sports and stuff. And softball wasn't something that she wanted to do, but now it is. So kind of like, I think it's like, lean in with your kids on the things that they want to do. Be really attentive to it. It's such an important piece of it, to be like really invested in what they want to do and making sure it's for the right reasons.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like, your kids, and you have to figure out like, all right, my kid loves playing baseball.
Yeah.
But do I think that one day I'm going to see him playing for the Orioles? And it's
Exactly.
like, at this point, I'm not seeing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, he could, I'm not going to say which kid, but, he could, grow up and like really shock me and like blossom and turn into an amazing baseball player. And, like they're both showing signs of like, hey, they really, are good at this. But I don't know if this is going to be their path long term.
Yep.
But if you do see that, well, then don't have them do the same thing over and over again. Because I think I've heard this where, like great athletes, they played all these different things growing up because it developed different skill sets that they're able to apply to their big thing. So
true.
it's like, like don't just lock them into one thing if you think that's going to be their thing.
Yeah.
If you think that they're going to end up being an engineer, well, don't just have them do only Lego stuff. Have them figure out other things that might apply to that one day. So it's, keep them bouncing around. Is I'm going to try to do that. it is tough because it is fun with the baseball teams to come back and have the same team and to keep growing, and selfishly with the parents and the kids and knowing them, like, about half the T-ball team this year was on my team last year, and having that familiarity with those kids, being like, hey, welcome back. Hey, yeah, it's great, but I don't know if that's exactly, it's not like that benefit. I don't know if that benefited my kid at all. So it's trying to get past those selfish wants of being like, well, don't you want to play again next season? Because all these kids are going to come back.
Yep.
Don't you want to play again? And it's like I find myself doing that, and it's like I need to stop that. That's something that I need to figure out how to. Okay, if you don't, you don't have to do this. I'm not going to push you into doing it again.
That was like Arya when her first thing was soccer, and she hated it, and that broke Deanna's heart because my wife grew up playing soccer from a very young age through high school, and I remember my wife had like a period of mourning, like, okay, I have to like realize she doesn't want to do this, and that's really hard to come to terms with. But it's hard to deal with.
Yeah,
it is.
I don't see myself sitting on the side if I don't have to. Like, there's certain things where I don't have a choice. I can't go. Like that basketball camp. Like, that was a camp we signed up for with people already assigned to be the. It's like, okay, I can't go out there, and it was hard to sit on the side and not help out. But some of my kids have expressed interest in soccer, and I have zero interest in soccer. But I am not going to be the type of person to sit on the side. So it'd be like, okay, I guess I will have
to coach soccer.
I heard that Vince Lombardi was he was like teaching at a Catholic high school in the 50s, and they needed somebody to coach the basketball team, and he had never played basketball or watched basketball, and he goes, okay, I will be the basketball coach. And he got a book, and he read through it, and he coached that team to the state championship.
Oh my god!
And it's like, it doesn't matter if you know much about the sport. You just have to have some passion for coaching.
It's a very. I mean, coaching is such a different skill set. I mean, you don't need to be a master at the game in order to coach well. It's about bringing out the best in people.
Yeah,
I think that's really important.
So I'm not saying I'm Vince Lombardi, but I guess I will have to figure out soccer.
We'll see you at States next year.
Yeah. Yes, States for 5-year-olds. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. As we think about wrapping up the conversation, I always like to end the show with just words of wisdom. As you think about your experience as a father these last, Miles is 8, right?
8.
So these last 8 years, your experience growing up with your own dad, and you think about the other dads who are listening to this episode, what words of wisdom would you leave them with to inspire or get them thinking about ways that they can be a better dad?
Listen to your kids.
Yeah.
Really. Find those opportunities to kind of, look, my experiences with my kids. I don't know if every kid is this way, but they don't always want to open up and say their initial thought right away. And
yes, right.
like, you can look at your kid and something is off. Like if he's out there at practice and he's acting like a jerk out there, and it's like, what is going on with you? Well, something happened that day.
Yeah.
Listen, pull him aside, ask him that first time, be like, hey, is there something you want to tell me? You're not going to get an answer. It's okay. Keep trying. This happened a month ago, and finally, like the 12th time of asking him before bed, and that was after like asking him, tucking him into bed, him not giving me an answer, changing the topic, going to something else, talking about 4 other things. And normally I'm in there for like 2 minutes, and then lights out and gone. No, this was a half hour, because it's like I knew something happened, but he's not telling me. So after a half hour, finally circling around and being like, and getting him to laugh and do all this other stuff. Hey, did something happen at school today? Yeah. And it's like, okay. So it's like, it's listening to them, and you know your kids better than anybody. I mean, it's one of the things it's one of the things that I always tell the parents in my opening speech is that nobody's watching your kid more than you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that right there is something to think about. Like, you are watching them. You know what's going on with them. If something's off, come out, go grab them. This is a game. It is a game of kids out there. Look, they're not a pivotal part of the team. What's more important is your kid.
Yeah.
So, it's just pay attention, listen to them, and just make sure that they're having fun. Because if they're not having fun, then life is miserable.
It is. And life's too short to be just like being miserable. Like to go be there for your kids, listen to them. So true. So true. And it's been a pleasure having you on the show and sharing all these perspectives because and I know we're going to miss you next year. You're graduating up to Coach Pitch with Dylan, right?
Yes.
Jake's team.
He'll be Coach Pitch, and I won't be doing T-ball again until next fall, it looks like. Even though I may try to push the youngest to the following spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, he is a wrecking ball. He is a beast, and he is going to tear kids up on the field.
Really?
Of any sport that he does. So, extending him a little bit more before he has to start playing, is going to be a good thing for him because he's going to mess people. Yeah.
Do you think that he's naturally like that because he's got two older brothers that are and like he's like picking up on that maybe that coordination and like just the way boys play together like that?
I think it's the perfect storm of he is the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
He gets to watch brothers do things that he's not allowed to do, and he will not accept that. He is stubborn like my wife, and he is big like me. So, like the other kids, like I know my eldest wants to play football a little bit. We're concerned there because of health stuff. It's like, we're going to let you do, flag football as like a small thing. He's going to play football probably. He's going to be like defensive linebacker and just crushing people.
Yeah, big boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's the way Jake's always been kind of like a big kid.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting to see if he leans out like me or if he's gonna put on his husky pants like we talk about his grandfather, my wife's dad. Very broad. If it like which way he's gonna go. So we're gonna see.
He definitely has the power there. You can see he has to unlock it a little bit.
A little, yeah. He's gentle. He's so gentle. And I'm like, if this kid wanted to throw a haymaker, he'd hurt somebody.
I am a large guy that's very gentle.
Yes.
So
exactly.
I get it. I can pretend like I can try to be like a gruff guy. No, I'm not. I'm too much of a teddy bear and soft. So
that's fun.
So but it'll work out fine. He'll find his path.
Yeah. Well, again, Coach Joe, thank you very much for being here tonight.
No problem. But thank you for having me.
Thank you again to Coach Joe Karlson for being on the show and sharing such great wisdom. I really loved all the knowledge bombs that he dropped during this thing because it got me really thinking about how I can be a lot more present, a lot more responsible as a parent, in teaching my kids the great values that come along with learning a sport. And a lot of that, it really reflects on how you as a parent show up. So I'm glad that you all listened through this, especially if you guys are thinking about putting your kids into sports like this. I would love to hear from you and maybe some of your own lessons learned. I would love to share that with the audience too. You can email the Dad Chronicle podcast @gmail.com. And if you enjoyed what you listened to today, consider becoming a patron over at supportadad.com. You can sign up to become a patron, and eventually I'm going to be setting up some exclusive rewards, but for now it's helping to support the operational costs for a show like this. So every little bit helps. Even $1 a month helps to support a show like this. And if you'd like to listen to any other episodes, make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcatcher. Over at thedadchronicle.com, there's links to all the different places that you can go, including other resources and other great stories from other dads from around the world. Thanks again for listening, and remember, be good to yourself and be good to others out there. We'll see you next time.
If you like this show, check out more great content at incastmedianetwork.com.